This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
What's up, Detroit sports fans? Welcome back to the Fan Reporter Show, made by fans for fans, powered by the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. I'm Nick, and with me is Anderson to give us this week's topics.
Stop me if you've heard this one before. The Lions lose in a way that's never been done before. Let's talk about it. It's the Fan Report.
Yeah. It took an NFL record-breaking field goal to beat the Lions this week, which you and I, you know, if we did bet on this game based on what we said at the end of our last show or during our last show, we would not have won our bets.
Oh, no.
We both said take the Ravens regardless of the points, lay the points, take the Ravens because it was less than like 14, I think is what we said. And the Lions actually played tough.
I had a buddy that took Lions money line. So that Justin Tucker field goal really...
Was this like, I really believe this type of bet, or were the odds just really good, or...
I mean, the odds were pretty good.
I know, they were like plus 400, weren't they?
Yeah, but still, I wasn't...
Just out of curiosity, who was it?
I'll tell you after.
Okay.
But that was something else. I remember, so I went to Uptown for to watch this game, and the guy I was sitting next to had his iPad with him with his full fantasy team on, and I was telling our buddy Alex, I'm like, you know, I really wanted to fit Marquise Brown in my FanDuel lineup this week, but like,
aren't you glad you didn't?
And so the guy was sitting next to me goes, I have Marquise Brown. I benched him. I was going to play him. I'm like, I thought that was a mistake. And then every time... Wait,
repeat that? You kind of cut out. He has Marquise Brown what?
So, and he said he benched him, and I was like, I thought that was probably a mistake. And then every time Marquise Brown dropped the pass, he would just like look right at me.
Oh, man. You know, I feel like everybody I know has those fantasy moments where they just somehow manage to predict something like that. Like, I'm going to bench this guy, even though I have no reason to bench him, but I'm going to do it just because I have a feeling. I feel like everybody I know has those, and I don't.
Well,
like, and don't get me wrong.
He had plenty of reason to bench Marquise Brown. He's been pretty duty all year.
No,
but I was
I
like,
know.
there's no way anyone in this secondary will keep up with him.
He had a good week one, didn't he?
Maybe.
I thought he did. Either way, like, don't get me wrong. Like, I am a good fantasy football player. I have several championships under my belt. You can siren that all you want. I don't feel like I ever have those, like, Nostradamus.
He hasn't been duty all year, by the way. He's gotten touchdowns in both week 1 and 2. I thought he was way worse than what he actually did.
That's just because you're blinded by the fact he was garbage all last year.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
Signed the man who had him in probably multiple fantasy leagues.
Yeah.
But I forgot my train of thought.
You were saying how people sometimes have the intuition.
Oh, yeah. Like, I don't feel like I've ever had, like, a Nostradamus type moment like that where I have no reason to start this guy over this guy, but I'm just going to do it because that's just what I believe right now.
Yeah, no. I just try to logic my way through it, and logic would have told me to start Marquise Brown yesterday or on Sunday. But thankfully, I didn't have room for my FanDuel lineup.
Well, that's good because he dropped 3 touchdown passes.
Yeah.
I mean, so if you really think about it, and I know you look at the final score, the Lions lost by 2. Like, yeah, that says that the Lions played a really tough game, and for the most part, they did. But in all reality, Marquise Brown dropped 3 touchdown passes.
Yeah, I'm going to be dead honest with you. The Lions looked pretty garbage in the first half.
Oh,
I'll
God,
give them some credit.
Abysmal in the first half.
I'll give them some credit for what they did in the second half, but like I've been saying to everyone at work, like the Lions had no business even being in this game. This was all the Ravens shooting themselves in the foot.
Yes.
Which is why I refuse to get upset about this whole like delay of game blown call thing and the record setting.
The Lions were fortunate
we
to
had no business even being in there in the first place.
The Lions were fortunate to have ever even held a lead in that game at all. They should not have been in it. They should have been down by multiple scores. But if it weren't for Butterfingers Brown, he ain't Hollywood Brown until he can start catching balls. He's Butterfingers Brown until then.
Butterfingers extra butter.
Yeah, because of Butterfingers Brown, the Lions were fortunate to still be in that game. And don't get me wrong, defensively speaking, they were better than they were in weeks 1 and 2. Like weeks 1 and 2, they were abysmal. Today, they were just or not today, this past weekend, they were just mediocre to, okay, I see some moments where, all right, this guy can play. Like, they had their moments. And I will say, this week was really the first week where I looked at Dan Campbell and said, okay, I see some positives here, but I also see a lot of negatives from a rookie head coach. Like, he was good at making adjustments at halftime, which is something that in years past, we've been harping on the Lions for their inability to do so. Like, they were completely incapable of making halftime adjustments against any team.
Yep.
Well, Dan Campbell went into the half with a team that was not playing good football. The offense was literally a dud and a straight-up fat egg. And they come out and, offensively speaking, played very solid football in the second half. Like, I call it a hot take all you want. If the offense plays all year like they did in the second half against the Baltimore Ravens this past weekend, they would be flirting with a 500 ball club. Like, they were far and away a different football team in the second half of that football game than they were in the first. And a lot of it had to do with the play of Jared Goff and DeAndre Swift getting going and just getting guys involved that you hadn't before. Now, the Ravens did shut down T.J. Hawkinson, which was their game plan. But
yeah, they were doubling them most of the game.
Right. But the Lions took what was given to them.
Yeah.
And made opportunities and converted opportunities into points and successful plays and drives in the second half of that game.
You all right?
Yeah. Now they need to play 2 halves of football, not just one.
Yeah.
And they need to come out firing on all cylinders and then still make the necessary adjustments at halftime to continue that. But there were positive things to take out of this game. There was also a lot of negative things to take out of this game. And in terms of Dan Campbell, terrible clock management at the end of this game. Like, I mean, whoa, that was bad.
I mean, I'll give him this. Like, I get what he was trying to do. Like, it's not like DeAndre Swift had been playing well enough where I would not have thought it far-fetched that he gets a first down on that third down carry.
Wasn't it like 3rd and 9 or 3rd and 7? Like, it wasn't a 3rd and short.
It wasn't 3rd and short. I don't think it was 3rd and 9. I can't remember the exact downage on that. But so, and also, like, I do feel like if they had actually gone for the pass and it was incomplete and left an extra like 30 seconds on the clock, I feel like we would have been harping on them also. Like, why would you run the clock now? Why would you give Lamar Jackson that much time? Like, I cannot fault them for that decision to run the ball there.
I can, though, because it was taking your foot off the gas. In the second half, Jared Goff was very effective. He was making plays happen, finding the right guy, and whether it be the dink and dunk routes were working in the second half, and he was able to go a little bit downfield in the second half. Not, big chunk plays, but he was able to make some plays happen in the second half of that game. So why wouldn't you go with the hot hand and Jared Goff and continue to run the offense the way you had been the entire second half when it was working? There was, in my opinion, once you got the timeouts out of the Ravens, why not take a shot? Why not take an opportunity to keep the ball in your possession and try to get more than just a field goal out of it? Because we're not talking about, there's no such thing as too little time on the clock in this league anymore. We watch Aaron Rodgers march all the way down the field in 37 seconds. I know Lamar Jackson's not Aaron Rodgers when it comes to the...
You do the factor that they didn't have timeouts because of that run. So, like,
you're not wrong. Yeah. But either way, I still think you don't... In this league, you can't afford to play...
it was 3rd and 9.
Okay, so why run the football on that? In this league, you can't afford to play not to lose, because if you do, you will never win. And that's been proven time and time and time again in this league. You do not play not to lose in the NFL. You play to win. You play to control the destiny. You play to make it so the ball is in your hands when you need the points, not in the other team's hands when they need it. That's just how this league is. It's a hell of a lot easier to play offense and defense in the NFL in 2021. That's just a fact.
But, like, I'm just saying, you got to look at the whole game flow. Like, the Lions were, prior to that, they were only converting on like 30% of their third downs. Like, the probability of them actually having gotten the first down was slim. That's what I was saying. So Like in
Okay,
my
and
mind,
if you want to go that route, historically speaking, the probability of them stopping a good offense or a quarterback that is dynamic on a game-winning drive is next to zero. Because look at how they've played this whole year. Look at the personnel they have. They can't. They don't have it in them. Yes,
they did until that fourth down.
Yes, they played a solid game, but they blew it.
Yeah.
You have to. You don't run the ball on 3rd and 9 when you're down. Rule number 1. I don't care where you're on the football field. You don't run the ball on 3rd and 9 when you're down, especially if you're up by 14 or 7 or whatever. Sure, run the ball. That makes some sense. But you're down. You're basically taking the opportunity. Like you're putting all of your eggs in the basket of your kicker and your defense. Which, by the way, your kicker this year hasn't exactly been that great.
It wasn't even it wasn't even Austin Sieber. We picked the guy up off the street.
Exactly. Exactly. So you put all of your eggs into the basket of a guy that probably had to introduce himself to the locker room this morning or Sunday morning, and your defense, which all year gave up about a bajillion points in the first 2 weeks.
I don't know if you saw on the
that was your path to success.
I don't know if you saw on the broadcast, like once they called that timeout after that 3rd down run to set up for the field goal, the broadcast was showing our replacement kicker Santosa warming up before the game, and it was just a bunch of like misses from 30 yards out. And I'm like, oh my God, here we go.
And this is the guy whose shoulders you put the game on. And don't get me wrong, it worked for the time being. But again, you played not to lose. Like, just out of curiosity, what did they get on that 3rd and 9 run? I can't remember. I know it was a short gain, like it was almost nothing.
No, they didn't gain. They lost yards.
That's what I thought. So, in fact, they would have actually given their kicker an easier kick if they had an incomplete pass.
They would have actually been better off kneeling the ball.
But that's my point.
Yeah.
Why not? Why put all of your eggs to possibly win the game in one basket when your offense was firing well, was performing in the second half? Why not take an opportunity to get that first down? Put the game on locks. Don't even give the other team a chance to have an opportunity to come back. Put the game in your hands, not the other guys. That's how you win in this league. I hope to God Dan Campbell's sitting in his office right now saying, all right, I've learned that now. You can't do that in this league. We need to control our own destiny. We need to have the game in our hands, not the other team's hands. Because say they do, convert it. Well, game's over. You won. Because your kicker's probably going to make an even easier kick. Say you don't convert it and it's an incomplete pass. Well, you were right back here anyways. But at least you took the shot. And frankly, if the run lost yardage like it did, I'd bet you a 9, 10, 12-yard route takes off a little bit more time than a run that loses yardage and then a timeout.
Yeah, it might take off an extra couple seconds.
Okay. Well, a couple seconds made a difference in this game, didn't it? Sign, delay of game. But
what are your thoughts on that, by the way?
It was a delay of game. I mean, I don't know what else you want me to say. It was a delay of game.
When I was watching that game, like the announcers were actually counting down the clock.
And then they said 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. Snap.
And I'm going to be honest with you. The first thought that crept in my mind was, well, I don't know if that's the official clock or not. Because we have seen situations where the broadcast clock doesn't line up with
that is
the
true.
actual
The scoreboard clock that you see on TV is not official.
But at the same time, I've never seen it be off by 2 whole seconds. So,
which is fair. And also, it has come out that like the official clock showed several seconds beyond for the delay of game.
So it did.
Yes, the official clock showed that it should have been a delay of game.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. That is not the reason they lost.
There was also a false start in that play. I don't know if you saw that.
I don't know that I agree with the false start. And the intentional grounding call that people were trying to make up, it was not intentional grounding.
No, I don't agree with
because
that.
he was not under duress.
I do agree with the false start. I don't agree with the intentional grounding.
Either way, it doesn't matter. That is not the reason they lost this game.
Again, like I said before, we had no business even being there to begin with.
Right. They had no business to be there. They shot themselves in the foot by not being aggressive enough when they had the ball in their hands.
The Ravens shot themselves in the foot multiple times to even put themselves in that situation.
Exactly. Yes, that as well. But it does kind of fit with the whole mantra of Lions always find a way to get screwed or whatever, blah, blah. You can say that all you want. It doesn't matter in this circumstance just because, I don't know. It doesn't matter. The team didn't play well enough to win. It is what it is. So I'm not going to sit here and gripe about, the refs just hate the Lions. No, I don't care. Like, it is what it is. It's one more blown call and a sea of blown calls in a football game. Like, there's tons of bad calls in a game. That's just one more. And it was just a bad no call.
I agree.
So why, it doesn't. And then, even then, with the situation they're in, it was 4th and 19. And you can't let them convert. I don't care if they had an extra 20 seconds to snap the football. You allowed them to convert on 4th and 19 after giving them a free timeout, mind you, to get their ducks in a row. Like, they got sacked on 2 straight plays, and Dan Campbell goes, timeout. What? What are you doing? Like, that was the moment where I went, why?
Yeah, that time I didn't agree with, because not only did you allow them get their ducks in a row, but you saved them some time.
You saved them time. They got their ducks in a row. They got to draw up a play. The play obviously worked, and then your play call was abysmal. Mm-hmm. You rushed 3 guys, and I believe 2 of those 3 were in a contain. Like, I get running a contain, and you had 2 spies also. Like, I get it, but, like, you had been rushing 4 the entire drive, and it worked quite nicely, might I add, considering you just came off of 2 straight sacks. Why would you ever, like, this isn't a situation where they're doing the pass back and forth type of thing. No, this is a situation where they need 20 yards to get the first down.
Yeah, Lamar's the type of guy where you don't want to give him time to extend the play because he will extend the play.
Right. You need to get him under duress and don't let him get outside. So you run a contain, rush 4, or run a spy or 2 and rush 4, and just run your defense. Like, I've never understood why teams don't just run their defense at the end of games. Like, you've been holding them for how long? It worked on the previous 2 plays. Why would you switch it up now? Like, I've never understood that about defenses at the end of ball games. Oh, let's go into a prevent. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Why change up your defensive game plan to allow the other team to get yardage? I've never understood it. I never will. And it was just a terrible play call by the defense there.
Yeah.
And a terrible timeout.
On the whole, I cannot get myself to get bent out of shape out this loss because I was fully prepared to come on here when we kicked that field goal, we go up 17-16. I was fully prepared to come on here and say that even though we won, it didn't really feel like a win. We didn't play like a winning team, and they didn't really deserve it. I refuse to be excited about us beating the Ravens. So, like, when we lost, I was like, all right, that's the outcome that was supposed to happen based on what I saw on the field. Like, based on the product we put on the field, this is the outcome I expected. So, we're back to where we started.
Right.
And like, I can't get mad about this either because I'm not expecting anything from this team this year. I'm just the biggest positive.
If anything, it's better because now we get a better draft. We still continue on the route to a better draft pick. Like,
and the biggest positive I can give them, though, is that they're showing that they want to fight for Dan Campbell, which is something we didn't see with Matt Patricia. And
right.
I mean, that was one of the big things that I was hoping to see just coming into the season was, does Dan Campbell have control of this team just emotionally? Like, will they go to bat for him? And it looks like they do. So
we saw some progression from some guys out there as well, like Derek Barnes. He played a lot on defense and he was pretty good. Like, he was solid. Jalen Reeves-Maben seemed to be all over the football field this week. Like, there were some, positives to take out of this game. It wasn't all negative.
Yeah.
In all reality, you were in a situation where it took a 66-yard NFL record-breaking field goal to beat you. And like that's a positive right there to look at. And I know Justin Tucker's historically been otherworldly against the Lions. Why is it always that kickers are otherworldly against the Lions? Like, was it 1916 the score when the Buffalo Bills beat the Lions on the last second field goal too?
I don't remember that, but
and
that
they
was
hit a
with Dan
60
Carpenter,
yarder to
right?
win that. Dan Carpenter, he hit it, and I'm pretty sure he hit like a 59 or 60 yarder to win that one too.
Justin Tucker and back in 2013 also. And that was to keep us out of the playoffs. We didn't win that game to make the playoffs.
Yep.
But yeah, like another positive. I think this is the best we've seen them this season. This is their best game they played this season. That's not saying much because the first two games I thought were complete garbage.
I would say it was their best defensive performance. Yeah, offensively, that first half they were straight up zeros. Like I can't really say that they played the best offensive game of the year. When for half the football game that was probably their worst game of the year.
But at least they played a whole half of football this time and not a quarter.
Yeah,
or 2 minutes.
This is true. You're not wrong.
It's like there's baby steps.
Again, I don't like you said, I don't expect much from this team. I wasn't expecting this team to even be close in this game. And there were things to take out of the game that are positives. Again, the offensive line looks solid. Like I still think Penei Sewell should be the left tackle.
It was hilarious. Again, back to Uptown. The guy I was sitting next to during the first half, he was just getting pissed, and then I'm like, I was like, I can't get mad because like I know we're gonna suck. We're gonna get a high draft pick, and we have a second first-round pick next year too.
That's probably gonna be 32, but okay.
And he goes, "No, I don't care. This team doesn't even know how to draft anyways. They drafted that bum-ass old lineman when they could have gotten that linebacker, Micah Parsons." I'm like, I like Penei Sewell.
Penei Sewell looks like an absolute stud at left tackle. Like he looks like a monster.
It's just fun seeing
that right there.
Different lines, opinions. And
that right there.
Like, these people actually exist.
That right there, though, goes to show how little of Lions football that guy watches and knows. Because sure, in the preseason he struggled at a position he's never played. Okay. As soon as he moved to left tackle, dude's been one of the better left tackles in the league in the first 3 weeks or 2 weeks, whatever it is. Like, dude has been one of the better left tackles in this league so far.
Yeah. I mean, in that guy's defense, Micah Parsons looked like a beast last night.
Wonderful. But don't care.
I do like having Penei Sewell. I do like having Penei Sewell. So
I think Penei Sewell will be a great piece for the future of this franchise. Like, dude was a stud. Dude has been a stud so far. Like, he doesn't know what he's watching.
Plus, O-linemen tend to have longer careers than linebackers, so
sometimes,
probably fit our timeline better because we're way out. So
yeah, I mean, it does depend on.
By the time I'm ready to compete, I'm pretty sure Micah Parsons might have had 3 concussions.
Possibly, yes.
Just,
the way
just
he plays,
knowing how linebackers trend.
Well, he
in
also doesn't ever take the foot off the gas.
Yeah.
No, you actually bring up the window of the winning opportunity for the Lions, and 97.1 was doing a little segment. Or they posed a question last week, I think it was, or earlier this week. I don't know when it was, but the question was: knowing that the Lions are.
No, this was last week. If I know
last
where you're
week, okay. Knowing that the Lions are probably several years away from winning, we're talking 3, 4, 5 years away from being competitors in this league. Looking at 2 of the core pieces you have now, would you be willing to trade away Taylor Decker and TJ Hawkinson, knowing that right now, they are no help to you? They will not help you win. You are not going to win with them right now. And when it is time to win, these guys are not going to be cheap. Like, Taylor Decker's already very expensive, but TJ Hawkinson right now is cheap because he's on a rookie deal. But team isn't going to win during his rookie deal. So do you take the chance of trading him away before you have to sign him to a $20 million a year contract and get assets to where you can build with for the future? Because those guys may not be a part of the future of this franchise.
Taylor Decker, yes. Hawk, not really. Taylor Decker, by the time we're ready to compete, he's going to be. I'm in my head, I'm thinking we're bare minimum 4 years out.
So after TJ Hawkinson's rookie deal.
Yep, exactly. Taylor, if we're using that 4-year timeline, Taylor Decker will be 32, and I'm not gonna have. I don't feel like he's going to be as useful at 32 as he is right now, obviously. But meanwhile, TJ is only 24. He'll be 28 when we're like ready to compete. And I think a 28-year-old tight end is still very useful.
Okay, but are you prepared to pay that 28-year-old tight end $20 million a year?
Assuming he progresses the way I'm hoping he's going to progress, then sure. If we're talking a top 3 tight end, then yeah.
See, that's the contract is where I have to pause, because outside of the Chiefs, and granted, the Chiefs are kind of still a bad example because of who else they have. Name a team that has a top flight tight end that pays that top flight tight end like one. That's winning.
How much does Mark Andrews get paid on the Ravens?
I'll tell you in a second.
He just signed an extension, didn't he?
I think so, yes.
I think those are the only 2 teams with top tier tight ends that I would say are winning, unless you count right now the 3-0 Raiders with Darren Waller. I just don't think that 3-0 is going to last.
He's signed a 4-year, $56 million contract, so a little over. So he's got a big deal, $11 million a year.
I just don't think that Darren Waller.
More than that, actually,
the
like
Raiders,
almost $15 million a year.
I just don't think the Raiders are going to stay undefeated. I think the 3-0 is a bit fluky, but.
What about George Kittle? What's his contract?
Oh,
the 49ers weren't winning last year. His contract is rather large also. 5 years, $75 million. So his is rather large as well. Like,
but also I'll tell you this. I think outside of Kelsey,
and Kelsey again, you
I'll
can
give it
argue
to Waller too. I think those are the only 2. Like, I don't think Kittle is the reason the Niners win football games.
I don't necessarily think Kelsey's the reason. I don't necessarily think Kelsey's the biggest reason why the Chiefs win football games either.
Oh, there's no single biggest reason unless you're talking about Pat Mahomes. Like
it's Pat Mahomes.
Yeah, but I'm saying if you take Kelsey off that Chiefs offense, I think that team looks a hell of a lot worse.
I don't disagree, but I think if you take Kittle off the Niners offense, they have no offense. Like, I think the offense is dead.
That team wins on their defense anyways. So
okay, but the Chiefs win on the arm of Pat Mahomes.
Except for this year. This year's not looking that way.
And the Chiefs win on the arm of Pat Mahomes. What's your point? Like, the Chiefs have other weapons there. Tyreek Hill's probably the biggest one, obviously. Like, they have weapons there. And Pat Mahomes' number is, not right now showing it, but he has been the best quarterback in the league over the past few years. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you could take a guy like, I don't know.
My point is, you're taking a focal point of the offense away from a team that wins basically on their offense versus a focal point of an offense off a team that wins basically.
Okay, but let me ask you this: Travis Kelce's probably their highest paid pass catcher, if not Tyreek Hill. Mm-hmm. He's one of their top 2 highest paid pass catchers. Name another team that's successful that has one of the top tier offenses in the league that pays a tight end that their tight end is in that higher upper echelon. That's it.
That's the only team that has a top tier offense that has a top tier tight end.
Exactly. So, like, that's not that you're talking about the anomaly here. We're not talking about the norm.
I never said it's essential.
So,
I'm just saying I don't mind keeping Hawkinson at 28 and paying him assuming this team is ready to compete in 4 years.
If it means I can't sign my future quarterback to a deal, or I can't sign a big-time running back to balance my offense to the right deal, or a big-time right tackle to help my line, or a big-time receiver to have a 1-2 threat at the receiving position, that's where I'd pause. Or even to sign a big-time pass rusher. Like, that is where I pause. Because those are other positions that I would consider to be more important than tight end. Yes, tight end is a big position in the league nowadays. Yes, TJ Hawkinson is a different type of player than regular old tight ends. But at the same time, I still would put more weight on other position groups like pass rush, like offensive line, like quarterback, than I would the tight end position. Now, with that being said,
TJ does help out in the offensive line too, so...
You will never be able to replace a right tackle or a left tackle with a tight end.
Well, no, obviously.
He doesn't help. Yes, he helps, but there are far better blocking tight ends that come at like a $500,000 contract than TJ Hawkinson does. So that argument is completely pointless because I can find a better blocking tight end for like a tenth of the price.
But he's not going to be catching balls the way TJ Hawkinson does.
You brought up the point that he helps in the offensive line. I'm telling you, I can get a far better blocking tight end for a tenth of the price. If you want to make the argument for blocking, I'll give you one better. I'll just find a better blocker at tight end for cheaper. If that's what the path is, if that's what the goal is there, I can do you better.
You're acting like I'm saying that's all he's good for. I'm saying he's a pass catcher that also helps block.
I was just giving you an answer to what you said. I was just giving you an answer to what you said.
You're playing the semantics game.
No, you said that he helps in the offensive line. Okay, I can find you a better blocking tight end.
No, because you were saying you'd rather spend the money on pass block or on the offensive line. I was saying he helps there too. Like it's not you're not just paying
when he's running routes. He does not.
I know, but he can do both. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. When he's running routes, he does not help. I would rather, if I had a tight end that I was relying on to help on my offensive line, I would rather have the better blocking tight end. If I'm looking for somebody that I need to rely on to help my offensive line. Now, if that's the case, it's probably if you need the tight end to help with your offensive blocking for your offensive line, then it's probably because you paid your tight end a little too much money and you can't afford a good offensive line. So that going back there. But, again, with that being said, Taylor Decker, yes, I absolutely would trade away. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't see where I know we've mentioned it, but if this team is 4 years away, I don't see a situation where he fully fits into the future of this franchise. Especially if Penei Sewell is, and he should be, your left tackle moving forward. So, Taylor Decker, we can trade away. I think you'd get a nice return for him. Probably definitely a first round pick, maybe even a third or a fourth round pick to go with that. Mm-hmm. That's a good return. I'd take that all day, every day. Now, TJ Hawkinson, I do pause a little bit more. I think you'd have to give me the right package for me to be willing to part with him. It's going to take a first and a second or multiple firsts.
I'm not parting with him without a first-round pick. You kidding me?
Now, also, in the case of TJ Hawkinson, the reason I can argue being willing to hold on to him is because in the case of TJ Hawkinson, we are going to be likely talking about a guy who was probably top 3 in his position, and you look at the tight ends out there, there's quite a big drop-off from the top 3, top 5 in the position to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to the rest of the top 10. Like, it's a bigger drop-off than normal. So you can make the argument that TJ Hawkinson would be a good guy to hold on to. However, that brings it back to, is a tight end worth paying that much money to keep if you want to build your team to win a title? Yes, I know you're interested.
Tight end's not essential to winning a title.
No.
I don't think you're ever going to convince me that any single pass catcher is essential to winning a title.
No, I won't say that because you do need to have elite tier pass catchers to be good in this league. Look at the teams that win Super Bowls: the Chiefs, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce; the Bucks, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski. Like those are considered, at least some of them are considered that elite tier pass catcher. Going back even further, let's look at the Rams: Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods. Those guys are up there, especially Kupp right now. You want to talk about the teams that are winning. They do have elite tier pass catchers. You're not winning in this league unless you have those. So it is important to have that. And if the Lions want to, put their eggs in the tight end basket with TJ Hawkinson, you better have an elite tier wide receiver to complement that. Like you need your tight, like
you got to go win. You got to be going all in on the pass game if that's where you're putting your money.
You absolutely do. Like you've invested this much in your passing game with TJ Hawkinson in the contract you'd be giving him, so you need to go all in that air game and grab an elite tier or have an elite tier wide receiver. Because frankly, if you don't have an elite tier wide receiver, I don't think you're winning. Like I don't think Travis Kelce works as well and that team is as successful without someone as up to the echelon of a guy like Tyreek Hill. I don't think it works as well.
I mean, he's done it with Tyreek Hill hurt. Like it's not
okay. A one-off game here and there. A one-off game here and there is not the argument, though. You're talking the anomaly.
Well, all I'm saying is that I would, if you had to ask me what offensive position group to invest more money in, I'm focusing on the run game.
Well, then TJ Hawkinson's not your guy.
No, I know.
Well, then trade him away.
My whole thing is if he got the guy here, it's not that often he can get that kind of talent in Detroit, so I would try to keep him. That's all.
And that's fair to say, but
slate, yeah, I'm probably going to start with the run game.
Would you rather? What if? Let's. There's another team in this league that has a very similar situation here. Granted, they're not in in terms of the tight end argument. Now, the Philadelphia Eagles have Zach Ertz, or this is a few years ago, but they had Zach Ertz, right?
Yeah.
Zach Ertz was going to command a lot of money, They drafted Dallas Goedert, paying him a lot less because he's on a rookie deal. Would you rather have them, if you were an Eagles fan, would you have rather the Eagles trade away Zach Ertz knowing you have Dallas Goedert because you drafted him and he's effective? Wouldn't you have rather them go that route than just paying Zach Ertz and having Dallas Goedert?
I was expecting him to go that route. The difference here is we don't have a Dallas Goedert type.
No, but I'm saying, my point is,
I was expecting him to trade away Zach Ertz. I was surprised when it didn't happen.
I agree with you, but my point is the Lions can draft another tight end. Is he going to be as good as TJ Hawkinson? Most likely not. Dallas Goedert is not as good as Zach Ertz was at his peak. But he's still pretty damn good. And you can find a tight end that is still pretty damn good in the draft. Like, they're out there every year. You don't necessarily need to spend a first-round pick on a tight end to get a good one. And that's just a fact. Most of the good tight ends in this league are not first-round picks. I mean, hell, what round was Mark Andrews drafted in?
Late. Definitely not a first rounder. I don't even think he was a third rounder. He was a third rounder.
He was a third rounder. So, I mean, but if you tell me that you're going to spend a first round pick on a pass rusher, a second round pick on a wide receiver or whatever, and a third round pick on a tight end, I'm not going to get mad at you about that at all, especially if he turns into Mark Andrews or someone along those lines. Like, I would never get mad at that when we turned around and traded the guy we did have in TJ Hawkinson for a first and second round pick, and we continued to add draft picks. And then we don't got to pay a tight end, $15-20 million a year. Like that's the thing. And I know it's Detroit and the money doesn't matter, but it kind of does. When it means you got to re-sign guys like Penei Sewell. And when you got to re-sign the quarterback that you drafted in, this year, next year. Or it means you got to bring in a right tackle or bring in a pass rusher or re-sign the pass rusher you drafted in this year's draft. Like, those types of things matter.
I was just looking at that draft. That was actually a really solid tight end draft that year.
They're everywhere. Like, tight ends, I'm not going to say they're a dime a dozen, especially not the elite ones. But there's still a lot of good tight ends in a lot of drafts.
But in this draft specifically, you had Gesicki, you had Hayden Hurst, you had Mark Andrews.
Oh, yeah, there were
some
good tight ends in this draft.
You had Dallas Goedert, you had Dalton Schultz. Like, there were some really good tight ends in this draft.
But again, that goes to show that you can find a tight end and pay him a hell of a lot cheaper. And, he can be a hell of a lot cheaper than a guy like TJ Hawkinson on a second deal. And then you can have a guy who may not give you the same return as TJ Hawkinson, but is a lot cheaper. Oh, and you got another first and second round pick out of it. For a rebuilding team, that's not that crazy. Like, TJ, right here, right now, as much as I love the guy and love his play, he doesn't help this team win right now. And could he help this team win later? Yes. But it's going to be at a far higher dollar amount.
So where are you planting your flag right now? If the Chicago Bears come to your doorstep and say, we'll offer
Chicago
you
Bears ain't in the market. That team needs to get out of its own way. But if someone comes and calling...
All right, let's say it's the Rams. They come call and say, we'll give you...
First off, I'm blackballing any trades to the LA Rams. No, it'd
have to be like 3 years from now because they gave us our next
the Rams are a bad example. It would have to be a team that would give me a first this year and a second this year. So
and you pull the trigger, right? Like right here, right now, you pull the trigger.
Trying not to be sentimental here. Like, I really love TJ Hawkinson. Like, I love the guy. He's
like, this team already sucks enough to get the first pick. We don't need to go TJ Hawkinson.
Right, that has nothing to do with it. I'm just saying, like, I really like TJ Hawkinson on this team. Like, I really do think in the future, this team can win with him. I do firmly believe that. But the chance to push my rebuild along a little bit further, like, this year's draft I think is a bad example because I don't think this year's draft's all that strong. At least
doesn't look like it so far.
Right. Let's say 2 years from now, and the draft looks really good. I'd probably do it because I want this team to push its rebuild along. Then I'd also have an idea to see a little bit better where we're at as an organization and a team in terms of when we're going to be ready to win. But
I'll tell you what, if next year comes, because right now I'm not seeing our quarterback of the future in this draft.
No, not this draft.
If next year comes along and we're able to move Hawkinson to a team that's in an advantageous spot in the draft where we can potentially land our QB of the future, I'd be willing to move Hawkinson to get that pick.
Oh, absolutely. That's trading a tight end for a quarterback at that point, like a franchise quarterback. Hell yeah. You'd be a dumb GM not to. Yeah. If you still don't have your quarterback and that's a chance for you to get him, you better do it. Mm-hmm. Like, I'll tell you right now, if the Lions are smart, they'd trade Taylor Decker this year. They'd get in a first-round pick. They'd get another early to mid-round pick. They'd find a way to get that done. So they have 3 this year, 2 next year, and then, before sometime next year or getting close to the draft or the trade deadline, and you are seeing a quarterback that's up there. You already have 2 first-round picks. You trade TJ to go get a third. You make sure you can get the quarterback that you want. Then you got a couple other first-round picks to get a pass rusher, or if you need to trade up to get that quarterback, you can find a way to make it happen.
Yeah.
You'll have the ability to do it. If you don't have the first overall pick or second overall pick that you need to get your guy, you have the tools to be able to go get him with 3 first-round picks. You wouldn't otherwise.
It would just eat at me because I remember watching that draft, the TJ Hawkinson draft, and we both wanted Ed Oliver or Devin Bush, and then seeing we got TJ Hawkinson, and we were like, well, he better turn into like the next Travis Kelce. And then, like, as soon as he gets good, we trade him. Like, it would just eat away at me.
It would, but if it meant I'm getting my franchise quarterback, I think I would forget about it real fast.
Yeah.
So let's kick it over to next week real quick before we kind of close things out. But Lions come up into a weekend into an NFC North rivalry up against the Chicago Bears. I believe this one's in Chicago.
Yes. And I'll be honest with you, if there's one team that probably looks worse than the Lions right now.
Well, I mean, if the way they played this past weekend is any consolation, yes, that team does look worse. Like, that team is a shit show from bottom to top right now. Justin Fields looks god-awful.
I can't blame Fields there. The guy had like an average of half a second to throw the ball. He was sacked 9 times. Like, he didn't even have the opportunity.
Okay, but he also didn't look good in the half of football he played last week. He looked terrible in that too.
I'll give you that.
Their running game is non-existent. Their play calling is just absolutely god-awful.
That's where I place most of the blame is Matt Nagy and that play call.
Probably one of the worst play callers I've ever seen.
The man gave the bare minimum amount of protection to Justin Fields the whole game after he was getting sacked time and time again. He still kept doing the same thing.
That team is not good.
Look at me getting mad like I'm a Bears fan.
I think you're just a Justin Fields fan.
I don't even have him on my fantasy teams. I don't care.
Would you be mad if the Lions won this weekend?
I mean, no. I almost expect them to. What would you say they're favored or not? Pull up the spread right now.
No.
You don't think they're favored?
They're on the road in Chicago. I think the Bears are -3.
That's exactly what it is. Did you see the spread before?
I did not. I'm just that good. No, what it is that's pretty much the 2 bad teams' home field spread. It's always right around 3. That's when you got 2 bad teams. The home team usually gets the favored spread, and it's usually about a field goal. That's the Vegas play. What?
The over-under is getting close to laughable. It's at 42 right now.
Oh my god! You mean to tell me neither team is going to put up a quarter? Like, neither team's going to put up 25 in this game?
Nope.
Not even 22? Neither. That says that they're expecting less than 5 touchdowns scored in this game, basically. That's terrible.
1 touchdown total per quarter.
Wow. This is going to be one of the worst games to watch in football.
Actually, it's not. It'd be 1 touchdown per team per quarter. No. It'd be 6 touchdowns.
Yeah.
We are really bad at math today.
Well, no, I'm just saying because you got to expect field goals in there. Like
yeah. Okay.
5 touchdowns being 35 points with a couple of field goals, like that's the over right
Gotcha.
there. So I would anticipate, they're expecting less than 5 touchdowns because you always got to wager a couple of field goals in there. So
Are you taking Lions +3?
+3, God.
I'm tempted at +3.
I am too, but this team really knows how to play bad teams really poorly. Like just historically.
Yeah, it's not like
speaking.
I'm confident enough in our pass rush to take advantage of.
I'll be honest with you.
of the offensive line in
think I would
Chicago.
stay far away from this one.
I won't disagree there.
But it's it's 2 bad football teams. It is what it is. It's I can't even give you the keys to victory here. Like it's pass rush, and just score a little.
This is a little.
At least. You just gotta play like you did in the second half against the Ravens, offensively speaking, and play tight defensively and get to Justin Fields. If that's the guy that they're starting, I've heard rumors that there's a potential of 3 different quarterbacks going for the Bears this weekend. So
Depends on Andy Dalton's health, and Nick Foles is still in play.
yeah, so it'll be interesting. If Nick Foles plays, do you think that spread goes up?
Maybe.
I think it might. I think if Foles is announced as the starter, I think that spread goes up.
I think Foles is better than Dalton. I'll tell you that much.
You don't like the red rifle?
I used to.
I never have.
He's no longer the red rifle. He's more like the red broken slingshot.
The red bottle rocket, or hang on, the red cap gun. That's what we're gonna call him.
The red Nerf gun.
The red cap gun. Oh man, no, it's gonna be an ugly game. It's not gonna be, and not ugly in a good way, where you're seeing 2 powerhouse defenses go at it. You're just about to watch 2 poor football teams go at it.
Hey, first drive result: punt, offensive touchdown, field goal attempt, any other. Which one are you going with?
Punt.
I'll agree. -150. That's the only minus odd.
Do me
one.
a favor. Go to the Rams game this weekend and tell me what the first drive result odds are. I'm gonna guess touchdown is the highest one.
The Rams Cardinals, which are 2 really good offensive teams. So it's punt, offensive touchdown, field goal attempt, any other. Just to recap, punt is at +105 for that one.
Okay, what's offensive touchdown?
+230.
Really? I'd take that all day.
Field goal attempt +410. Any other +650.
I'd take that. I'd take the offensive touchdown at +235 all day. I just love the -150 in the Bears line game. That's hilarious.
You're like, yeah, it's going to happen. It's going.
They're not. Let's just say that you're not supposed to have an option that has minus odds in that play. Like that's just what it is. Oh man,
They know they're dealing with 2 garbage offenses.
yeah. So, but either way, switching over to the Pistons real quick before we close out. Luka Garza signed. Oh, actually, one more Lions tidbit. Lions cut Jamie Collins today.
Oh yeah, they did.
What's your thoughts?
They tried to trade him. No one wanted him. We cut him. They wanted to give Derek Barnes more run. I'm all for it. Cool.
I second that. Jamie Collins wasn't doing any good anyways. Granted, it does hurt because I believe they did give him a lot of guaranteed money in the offseason, so it does. But again, who cares? What are the Lions using that money for anyways right now? So anyways, one more thing.
We're never getting off the Lions, are we?
I know. What are your thoughts on the fans booing Martha Ford at the halftime? Well, she's trying to
all
announce
for it.
Calvin.
All good on them. That's what they needed to do. I actually would have been upset if they didn't boo Martha Ford at halftime.
Is it a little bit
or
like
Sheila Ford? Sorry.
Is it a little bit like who cares? Like I'm trying to think of the word, but like
no, it's not. Who cares? Because they have it's something
if you really
have to do.
But in terms of Martha Ford, it's still more of like a I still got your money anyways because you're sitting in my seats type of thing. Like I don't care.
Yeah.
If you really want to stick it to Martha Ford and the Ford ownership group, don't go. Don't buy a ticket. You know what I mean?
So like if I won the lottery, I would.
You were cutting out a lot, sir. But anyways, I mean,
Can you hear me now?
yes, I can. There we go. So what were you saying?
So I was saying it's kind of like I saw his post earlier that said if I won the lottery, I would buy all the tickets to a Kanye show and just sit there and boo him the whole time, just me. And I'm like, well, you sold out his show single handedly, so you're kind of playing into his hand.
You really think he cares at that point?
On the other hand, the difference between Kanye and Sheila Ford, I can't believe I'm making this argument. The difference between Kanye West and Sheila Fordham is that there are very few moments where Sheila Ford is out in front of fans. This is one of the very few times fans can voice their displeasure to Sheila Ford. So, like, if they didn't take advantage of that, I kind of would have been upset.
That's fair, and I agree with that aspect. Like, it was a time where the fans had that opportunity, but at the same time, I also think that it doesn't bother her because, haha, joke's on you, you still paid me. So, if you want to really stick it to her, don't go. And that's it.
That's never going to happen.
No, it's not, and that's just a fact. So, anyways, let's now go on over into the Lions talk.
If only Lions fans were as disloyal as Pistons fans.
I believe Media Day was today? Yesterday. Anything noteworthy come out of that? I don't think so.
Not really.
Cade Cunningham measures at 6'6", as we expected. He didn't lie.
Which he didn't. He did in Summer League, too.
Yep.
Yeah, it was just a bunch of, everyone's vaxxed, which is good. So we're not going to deal with that this season. I mean, no, because we didn't hear any rumors about anyone on the team being like.
I also don't
hesitant.
think we have like any flat earthers on our team, a la the Brooklyn Nets and the Kyrie debacle, where he's about to not be able to play home games. So there's that. How can you like justify still playing in this league and not be able to play home games for your team?
I don't think Kyrie Irving actually likes basketball.
That dude, there's something going on in that dude's head. Like, and it goes beyond the whole vaccine thing. Like, he's.
Dude, if Kyrie Irving
on up there.
If Kyrie Irving had the venom of some of the greats, he would be one of the greatest point guards of all time. But
if he could get out of his own head.
So I'm saying,
like,
but he
dudes
doesn't.
Dudes,
I don't think he actually likes basketball. Like,
well, no, I'm not. I'm just talking like in terms of how out there he is. Like,
there's that
he's
too.
He's a weirdo, man. Like he's all flat earther, anti-vax. Like he's out there.
He's the guy who reads everything on the internet and believes everything he reads on the internet.
I'll you know what? Call me an asshole all you want. I don't think someone who believes in things the way he does could ever be successful in a publicity type league.
You went a different way than I thought you were going with that.
What?
I thought you were gonna say anyone who believes in that stuff, I don't think actually reads.
Well, that too.
But yeah, so Pistons media, it was just a bunch of saying how excited they were for the season to start.
Did you see Jalen Green once again can't get the Pistons out of his head?
I did not.
Oh yeah, he said. I'm paraphrasing, but he said, my goal this year is to be rookie of the year, especially since I wasn't taken number one. I still can't believe I wasn't taken number one.
Jesus Christ.
He just can't get it out of his head. That's going to be the downfall of this guy.
Jeez.
I hope his jersey number is too.
I want to know like what his 2K rating would have been with all the answers to press questions.
Not well.
Like, would he just have been destroyed by teammates in 2K?
I hope so.
I get destroyed by saying that, like, because like I'm playing my career right now, and they'd asked me because I went to the G League, and they'd asked me like how my G League experience has been, and I said I've got to give credit to my teammates. They put me in a position to succeed, and they said that was a selfish answer, and I was like, if that's selfish, imagine.
I should have been taking number one. Yeah. I only care about the rookie of the year. Screw everybody else on my team. But no, I'm ready for Pistons basketball to come back. I'm ready for this is probably the most excited I've been for the winter sports in a long time. And it probably has a lot to do with the fact that like the two teams we have in the winter sports are starting to show some life. in terms of the Pistons. I'm excited to watch Cade. I'm excited to watch Sadiq and Jeremy Grant and that team and the Wings.
I'll be excited for the Tigers next season if we call up Torkelson and Riley Green.
Hell yeah. And especially considering there's a chance that they could sign a big-time starting pitcher, a big-time shortstop. Like, that team could actually be pretty good next year. And then you talk about the Wings, like Mo
We're all
Seider's
just swaying
up.
the Lions.
Yeah. But Mo Seider's going to be up this year, and you've got some talent on that team. Do I expect them to be good? No. But they're making the right strides, and they're getting there. So, and I also think, like, it's the first real year of sports we'll have gotten in, like, 2 years now. So, the chance to be able to go back into the arenas, go down to LCA, watch a game, be happy, have fun, be comfortable. Watch a Wings game, watch a Pistons game, and just have a good time. Like I missed it, obviously.
And this is going to be the first time in a long time that I'm not rooting for the Pistons to lose.
Yeah,
like
this year we can honestly, comfortably, actively root for them to win.
Yeah,
because I don't necessarily. I mean, you can disagree with me all you want, but I don't necessarily need to say that I want the Pistons to be at the top of the lottery this year.
Yeah.
Like
I'm not going to be upset if we are. I mean, more draft picks, but like. I want us to compete now.
In terms of my like upset meter scale, I'd honestly say that I would be more upset if they are high in the lottery than I would be if they weren't.
Because like the way I think about it is, I think again, their ceiling is fringe play-in.
Yeah.
And if they're high in the lottery, that means they missed that ceiling. But it also wouldn't mean that they're like way worse than I'm expecting because I'm saying their ceiling is fringe. So like where I'm expecting them to be is probably around 10, 11 in the lottery. That's where I'm expecting.
That's fine. That where I expect is about.
And if they miss that mark and get like 7 or 8, fine.
If they hit 7 or 8 in the lottery, that's kind of where I expect them to be anyways. Maybe even 9 or 10. So I'd be fine with that. But if they're, if they have the second best odds at the number 1 pick in the lottery,
then I'm going to be kind of
probably going to be pretty upset. Even third best odds to win.
Does that mean like these guys aren't meshing well, and then we're like, do we need to already tear this down?
Exactly.
I get you there.
If the Pistons are near the top of the lottery, I'm going to be disappointed. Like I want this team to show some life this year. Like this is the year where they start taking those steps forward. No more stepping back. Time to start moving forward and start winning. So I hope to see them being near the play-in, and if they end up falling off to being around 8th, 9th, 10th in the lottery, that's okay, as long as they're not 2nd or 3rd.
Yeah,
I want them to stay outside. You know what? Here,
stay outside the top 5.
I'll draw my line.
The
in the
opposite
sand.
of what we said
Stay out
last
of the
year?
top 5 in the lottery this year, and I'll be fine with it.
Last year was like top 4 pick at any cost. This year, it's stay the hell out of
Stay
the top
out of
5.
it. Stay out of the top 5 in the lottery. That's my line in the sand. Same goes for the Wings. Granted, they weren't. I don't think they were top 5 in the lottery last year, anyways.
No, but we've had our fill of losing in this town.
Damn
And
straight.
we're still going to have to deal with it for a few years.
Anyways, that is going to call it for this week, guys. Thank you for listening. We will catch you next week. Follow us on Twitter at Real Fan Report and check, pay close attention to Twitter this week. We may have an announcement coming up for something that may be happening this weekend. Not sure yet. Not going to say much else, but just pay attention. That's all. But thank you to Detroit Sports Podcast as always. Andrew, thank you for joining me, and thank you guys for listening. This has been the Fan Reporters. Bye, fans.
For fans.
We will catch you guys later. Have a good one. Enjoy your week. Peace out.
Peace.